Hello, everyone. Today's topic is Canada run by idiots? Looking for trouble where opportunity lies, which is a situation instigated by the new Canadian leadership. Hello, Philip. It seems that Canadian people, although they got a new leader after what felt like decades, are not getting what they hoped for, at least in regard to its trade relationships with the country's major partners. Is that right?
Yes, indeed, Stephen. Canada with its new Prime Minister is baffling. Amid a catastrophic tariff war with America, it chooses to pick a needless, monumental trade fight with China, slapping a 100% tariff on Chinese-made electric vehicles, provoking a retaliatory 75.8% anti-dumping tariff on Canadian canola seed. This is devastating news to Canadian farmers as they stare at the loss of 200,000 jobs. Prime Minister Carney is dragging Canada into an unsurvivable two-front trade war simultaneously with its largest and second-largest trading partners.
Would you say, Philip, that the souring of China-Canada relationship started with the former Prime Minister?
The China-Canada relationship, once sweet and romantic under Pierre Trudeau, turned sour under his hollow-headed heir, Justin. Trudeau Jr. should have stayed in his side hustle as a barroom bouncer, or played wide-eyed tourist in an Indian guru garb. Unfit for the job, his 2 terms spelled utter disaster for Canada, blindly following Trump's crazy anti-China policies. Worse, he fell into the deadly Trump trap by executing a U.S. arrest warrant against the CFO of Huawei, China's tech giant. His adolescent stupidity knocked bilateral relations off kilter. By the time Trudeau staggered off the stage, Sino-Canadian relations were in tatters. They have never recovered.
Okay then, would you say that China, on the other hand, has been, in recent years at least, a science-first nation that is largely indifferent to world domination?
It was Trudeau that left behind bone-deep mutual distrust. Objectively, China does not have to have quarrels with Canada. China's ideological coding is irrelevant. Though socialist, it is not North Korea, Cuba, or Venezuela. In less than 40 years, China is transformed into a different country, a science-first country, big on technology, poverty alleviation, infrastructure construction, innovation and education, and rationally governed like no other nation on Earth, laser-focused on purpose and progress. But blinded and brainwashed by U.S. propaganda, under Trudeau, Canada was duped into viewing China as a strategic threat.
With that said, would you say that China is clearly no threat to Canada? And China will continue to respect the sovereignty of other nations, including that of Taiwan?
I am left scratching my head exactly how China constitutes a threat to Canada. It fights no wars, invades no neighbors, and the 2 countries are separated by the vast Pacific. China's religion is trade and prosperity. The truth is stark and simple: no U.S. encirclement of China, no Chinese militarization of South China Sea islands. Keeping the sea lanes unchoked for trade is a matter of life and death. Imagine America facing a blockade off its Florida coast. It would have summoned all its military might to break the chokehold. America is bicoastal. China is not. Landlocked to the north, south, and west, it must keep its eastern coast clear at all costs. Hence the red line: Taiwan must not fall into the wrong hands. The saber rattling over the Taiwan Strait is entirely U.S. instigated. Recognized as part of Greater China, Taiwan is no Ukraine. China's sovereignty and survival are on the line. I know Canada. I also know its so-called climate of opinion. During the J. Trudeau years, the climate of opinion was mindlessly anti-Chinese, poisoned by the nonsensical theory of the China threat. The gullible press was equally unkind. They forget that China was a victim, not a bad actor, in the Huawei CFO's unjustifiable arrest and its aftermath. China may have a socialist veneer, but it is Confucian to the core. The only country preaching the doctrine of global common prosperity covets no global domination. But America has demonized China into a dirty word.
At this point, Philip, you would probably want to remind us that China's core creed remains that weakness invites aggression and victimization.
Yes, indeed, China muscles up for one reason: it never forgets its dismemberment by foreign predatory powers. That bitter lesson is congealed into its core creed: weakness invites aggression and victimization. The aggressive gene, rampant in Russians, Americans, and British colonialists, is absent in the Chinese DNA. For centuries, China never fought a single war of aggression. Unthinking Canadian leaders should stop parroting the US nonsense about the China threat. Look at the facts. For the last 75 years, global conflict has come either from US or Russian aggression. China is squeaky clean. Ideological labels are outdated, misleading, and dangerous. Canada's 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles is wrong on 3 counts. First, most Canadians oppose it. Second, electric vehicles dance to the tune of Canada's clean air gospel. Third, a one-sided tariff goes against Canada's long-standing reputation as a dutiful WTO member.
Thus, you would say that the new Canadian Prime Minister and his cabinet members need to wake up to the new geopolitical realities around the world, right?
Yes. When pretty boy Trudeau stepped down, all heaved a sigh of relief, harboring high hopes that the new leader is a smart man with no flies on him. They count on his restoring China-Canada relations to their former rationality. But stubbornly, Carney has not shaken off Trudeau's pig-headed China bias. This strategic failure is down to 2 things. First, the glaring lack of China expertise in his cabinet, crowded with ministers of Indian descent, but boasting no wise China hands on board. This is indefensible when China looms so large in world affairs. Carney is dangerously China ignorant.
Wow, that is a strong expression. Carney is dangerously China ignorant, huh?
Yes, and in addition, he is caught half asleep in America's red pill moment, when the US has redefined the geopolitical reality. Under Trump's America First sledgehammer approach, alliances mean nothing. Canada must realign to survive. Even terrifying Trump is handling China gingerly. But Carney is behaving like a proverbial bull in a china shop. Geopolitics, unlike banking, requires nimble thinking. Being a knee-jerk China hawk is repeating Justin's folly and sleepwalking into another disaster. China is, after all, Canada's second-largest trading partner. Trump has scrambled the rules of the game. Carney must learn to unscramble them.
Okay, Philip, to wrap up this discussion, what would you suggest that the Canadian leader do? There should be a basic yet effective suggestion on how to repair the China-Canada relationship, right?
I think I will let Carney in on a simple but very powerful piece of advice. The key to dealing with the Chinese is respect, for they will reciprocate. They will behave like perfect Confucian scholars when respected. Locked in a vicious dogfight with both Trump and China, Carney might not have the teeth to survive intact.
Well, Philip, I really hope that Prime Minister Carney will listen to your advice. Thanks, Philip, for another insightful discussion on this foreign policy hot potato. And thanks everyone for watching. Stay tuned for more of this kind of coverage to come.